Less than 1 month ago, the Northeast Conference debuted a special web series aimed at celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Title IX legislation signing. The first woman featured in the spotlight was Northeast Conference Hall of Famer and Monmouth alumnae Christy Pierce-Rampone, a former three-sport athlete for the Hawks who went on to play for the U.S. women's soccer team in 4 consecutive World Cups. The second installment of the series took NEC-TV back to the Jersey Shore, where it would spotlight another influential figure in the world of women's athletics, Dr. Marilyn McNeil, the Vice President and Director of Athletics at Monmouth University. McNeil, who has been at the helm in West Long Branch since 1994, greeted the NEC-TV staff at the Multi-Purpose Activity Center and shared numerous moments from her life, ranging from how she fell in love with athletics to battling the issues of equality as a coach.
I do remember that very clearly. I had the great fortune of having an opportunity to be coached by some very strong women very early on in my career. I think part of it was my Canadian background, which I didn't think at the time was an advantage, but there wasn't the same differences between men and women there. We weren't so caught up in it. So I had, it was mostly track and field that I started with, and very, very good coaches who really saw something in me. I was a major competitor very early on. My folks used to take away all the board games on family weekends because I was really busy beating everybody up and not enjoying losing. So I think it was all there for me, but I do remember those coaches when I was in 7th grade, and I loved it right from the very beginning. Went to my hometown university. So right away I started in and I played field hockey in the fall and basketball in the winter, and we didn't have a big spring, so there wasn't a lot of softball where we were, but there was a little bit of track and field. I would have loved to have played lacrosse. I wish it was around, although it was the Canadian national sport, but I would have loved to have played lacrosse. But growing up in Western Canada, in a country that's snowbound a lot of months of the year, you learn how to cope with winters, and part of that was growing up curling. And so we curled from a very, very young age, and we would have Sunday night family curling and during the week leagues, and so I think it reminds me sometimes now. I talk to my son who's in some bowling leagues as a young 20-year-old, and reminds me of that. That's what we did. We went curling. So, but I was in junior high school, and then I was in high school, and then I was in college, and every year I went, I said, oh, this is the level I want to coach, and every time I went to a higher level, I just knew that coaching was in my blood, and this is what I wanted to do. I remember it very clearly. I was coaching at my alma mater. I was coaching the women's basketball team, and we were having some success. I had taken the program from being very poor to being quite successful. And I was very friendly with the men's coach. We traveled together, and so we talked a lot, and we learned from each other, and I found out about his employment contract and what he was getting. And so I went to my AD and I said, look, I don't want equality, but I want from you a sense that you believe in what I'm doing and that we have a plan going forward. And first of all, I would like a raise. And secondly, I want some kind of longevity for you to tell me that what I'm doing is right. And he looked at me and he said, no, I'm not sure about that. Let me take it to the next level. And so he did, and he came back and he said, no, we're not going to do anything. And I said, you're kidding me, not anything at all? And he said, no. I said, well, I really can't accept that. I'm going to have to go elsewhere. And he said, well, let me go back. Well, in the meantime, my husband, who had said all along he would love to move to California, said, there's a great job down there, why don't you apply? So I applied to a job down at a state school in California. And lo and behold, as this discussion was going on with the AD at Calgary, I was offered the job down at San Luis Obispo in California. So the AD came back to me and he said, we're not going to do anything. And I said, well, that's really disappointing and I'm leaving. And he said, don't do that. You're doing lots of good things. And I said, I have to leave. You've got to understand that this is about some equality. So I did, and I think shocked the University of Calgary, but it took them quite a while to find some equality back then. And And I came down thinking I had gone to the Mecca of women's basketball. It was just after the first scholarship was offered at UCLA for women. It was right after Title IX. It was 1979. I thought, wow, I'm just going to have all these opportunities. I've never been so disappointed. It just never came, and I've been in that fight ever since 1979, very much in the trenches where we were treated. I was treated differently. I remember walking down the hall with the director of physical education at the time, and he said, you know, Marilyn, you're the first full-time coach that Cal Poly has ever hired, and there are not very many people that are happy about that. First-time women's full-time coach. I thought, well, that's a great welcome. Thank you very much. And so there was a lot of challenges. I shared an office with the men's golf coach, and we were in the main gym area, but all our practices were at the lower gym, which was a very old, inadequate gym, the women's practices. And my office mate would always pick up the phone and say, men's gym. And I would look at him and I'd say, come on, it's not the men's gym, it's the main gym. And so we had this discussion for an entire year. But at the end of it, I felt so vindicated because he started to pick up the phone and say, main gym. And I thought, yes, I've won a little victory. I really wanted to become, you know, I was a coach. I loved coaching. I'm not so sure I should have left it. But I've always believed that coaches need to be tunnel visioned. They need to see their sport almost at the exclusivity of all others. That drives athletic directors nuts because they don't have a broad vision. But if they're going to be successful, they need to be very narrow visioned. And I remember going into my athletic director at the end of my coaching career and asking for something for my women's basketball team. And he said, no, we can't do it for these reasons. And I said to him, oh, yeah, I understand that. And so I knew as soon as I said that I had lost my ability to be tunnel visioned. And now I was seeing the broader issues and understanding the broader issues. So I really walked away from coaching, got some great opportunities to go into administration. And I spent 8-9 years being an assistant, an associate, a senior woman administrator, and training athletic directors. I had 3 different athletic directors while I was being an assistant. And after the third one came in, I thought, you know what, I know how to do this. And it's nice to be the second in command because you can kind of fight your issues, but you don't have to fight them at the highest level, and you don't have to take responsibility. But at the end of that, I knew that I had a vision, and I cared, and I wanted to be able to be my own boss and see my vision come to fruition. So when I got an opportunity to be an athletic director, and few and far between for women, I brought my family, a 13-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy, and a reluctant husband who loved California, 3,000 miles to New Jersey so I could be an athletic director. And I'm thankful for them that they gave me that chance, and I'm thankful for the university and the former president, Rebecca Stafford. But it is terrific to know what you believe in and to have a vision and to have a philosophy and be able to make changes that match that. And I've said to young administrators that what you really need to do is have a personal philosophy, something that you believe in, so that when things get tough, you can come back to that. And it was without doubt, I truly believe in the student-athlete-coach relationship. I've cherished that. It was so important to me in my career. And so I do everything I can to make that relationship happen and be strong. And when you can be in a seat where you can help make those changes, that you can talk to a president and you can talk to the movers and shakers at a university and let them know about your vision and what you care about and to see if they can come on board with you, it's really rewarding. And you know, I'm at the end of my career. I don't have a lot of years left with it, but right now I still love it the same way I loved it when I first stepped on the track as a 7th grader. So I haven't lost any of that passion or love for athletics.